Before every World Cup match, there is a ritual that no football fan in history has ever witnessed before. The match balls are placed on wireless charging stations, not plugged in with a cable, wirelessly. The same inductive charging technology used by your phone or smartwatch scaled up for football. The charging process takes 90 minutes for a full charge. 90 minutes. And here is something that might surprise you. They don't charge just one ball. For a World Cup match, multiple balls are charged and kept ready. The team confirmed that in every competition they have supplied so far, not once did they have to replace a ball mid-match due to a dead battery.
A full charge gives the sensor 6 hours of operational life. A match lasts 90 minutes. The math is comfortable, but football never goes exactly to plan. There is an elegant intelligence built into this system. When the ball goes out of play, when it rolls to the corner flag or sits behind the goal waiting to be retrieved, the sensor detects that it is no longer moving on the field. Automatically, without any input from anyone, it switches itself into hibernation mode. Power consumption drops to almost nothing. Then, the moment it is kicked back into play, it wakes up instantly. The battery can last for several days in this state. It is, in a strange way, alive. On match day, the stadium operations team follows a precise protocol. The balls are charged in the morning, verified for charge status, inspected for pressure, and stored in climate-controlled conditions until minutes before kickoff. A full team of technicians manages this process. In a tournament with over 100 matches across 15 cities in 3 countries, the logistics alone are an engineering project. The most important object in world football must never, under any circumstances, run out of charge during a match. For years, the most controversial moment in football was the offside review. The process required camera operators to freeze a frame at the exact millisecond the ball was played and draw lines through player bodies to determine if a shoulder or a knee or an armpit was a fraction of an inch beyond the last defender. The system was imprecise, the delays were infuriating, and the decisions were still argued about for days afterward. The ball's sensor changes this completely. Because the sensor captures the exact millisecond the ball is kicked to within 4 milliseconds, the system knows precisely when the ball left the player's foot. At that exact moment, the AI pulls the position data from every player's tracking system and freezes the 3-dimensional model. Offside is determined not by a camera angle, but by a mathematical calculation using precise spatial coordinates. The line is not a guess. It is a measurement. And then there is the question of touch. In a crowded penalty area, when a ball is struck and there is a suggestion of a handball, or when a shot appears to be deflected off a player before going out, the question is, who touched it? The sensor knows, because every touch creates a distinctive signature of acceleration change on the 500 readings per second. The sensor identifies not just that there was a touch, but the intensity of it and precisely when it occurred. The target for the new system is remarkable. Offside decisions that once took 4 minutes of video review should be confirmed in under 20 seconds. The referee receives a clear, data-backed recommendation through their communication system. They still make the final call. The technology assists, it does not replace. But the margin for human error, for camera angle uncertainty, for the agony of a barely offside goal being disallowed by a line that might be wrong, that margin is being systematically eliminated. When the final whistle blows and 90 minutes are over, the ball's sensor has collected 2.7 million individual data readings. Every touch, every kick, every deflection, every second the ball spent in the air versus on the ground, the distance it traveled, its maximum speed on every shot. This data is not just for referees. It becomes part of the analytical record of the match, available to coaches, analysts, and eventually to the fans watching at home, who will be able to see statistics generated directly by the ball itself. The outside of the ball is its own engineering story. Previous World Cup balls used more panels, as many as 32. More panels means more seams, and seams are where unpredictability enters the flight path. The new ball uses only 4 panels. 4. That sounds simple, but those 4 panels required extensive aerodynamic testing to get right.
The wave curves are not decorative. They are the aerodynamic engineering. The curves guide airflow over the surface and reduce turbulent wake, which is the physics term for what happens when a ball suddenly changes direction in the air. Before this ball played a single World Cup minute, it went through thousands of hours of wind tunnel testing, computer fluid dynamics simulation, and player trial sessions. Engineers were looking for one thing: the zone of predictability. When a football enters the air at high speed, it behaves by the laws of physics, and those laws, honestly, can be brutal. The goal of aerodynamic optimization is to make the ball's flight path feel honest to the player who struck it. What you intend should be what happens.
The surface texture of this ball has been engineered for exactly this scenario: rain. Football is a summer sport, but summer does not guarantee dry pitches. The matte textured finish of this ball creates microchannels across the surface that channel water away from contact points. This means that when a player strikes the ball in wet conditions, the contact patch between boot and ball maintains grip. And when the ball is in the air, water doesn't pool on the surface and alter its weight. In the World Cup, in the late rounds, in matches where the margin is one goal, the physics of water on a ball surface can decide tournaments. There is a standard that every World Cup ball must meet before it touches a pitch. It must be as close to a perfect sphere as manufacturing can achieve. The tolerances are measured in fractions of a millimeter. The panels are thermally bonded, not stitched, which means the seam joins are formed by heat fusion rather than thread, creating a smoother surface with no raised seam lines. Combined with the four-panel construction, the result is the roundest, most consistent match ball the sport has ever used. In the end, all the engineering, the four panels, the thermally bonded seams, the aerodynamic curves, the surface texture, the sensor counterweights, serves one moment. This moment. A boot making contact with leather and air and science, sending a ball toward a goal in front of 80,000 people and 3.5 billion watching at home. Every engineering decision made by every person who worked on this ball was made for this fraction of a second.
Every era of football has its ball. In the 1930s, a leather ball that soaked up water and could double its weight in the rain. In the 1970s, the iconic black and white pattern that became the universal symbol of the sport. In the 1990s and 2000s, balls that moved so unpredictably in the air that goalkeepers said they were impossible to read. And now, in 2026, a ball with a computer inside it. Each generation of ball has been, in its own way, the most advanced object in sport, until the next one came along. 3.5 billion people. That is the estimated audience for the 2026 World Cup final. A single object, that ball, will be watched by nearly half the people alive on Earth at the same time. No piece of technology in history has been watched by more people simultaneously. And this time, the object they are watching is itself watching back, collecting data, measuring, transmitting, thinking. The most watched thing on Earth has become, for the first time, a sensor. For the player, none of the technology matters. When you stand over a ball in the 89th minute of a World Cup final, you are not thinking about sensors. You are thinking about direction, about power, about the goalkeeper's weight distribution, about every hour you ever spent practicing this exact moment. The ball was always, in the end, a simple object, a thing to be kicked. The technology exists to make the judgment of what happens next as accurate as possible. But the moment itself, that is still entirely human. The 2026 ball is not the end of this story. It is a point along a trajectory. The next generation of connected ball technology will likely include sensors that detect ball pressure in real time, heat sensors to detect unusual impacts, and data streams rich enough to build detailed tactical analyses from the ball's perspective alone. The ball is becoming the most instrumented object in sport, and the sport is becoming a data story, told by an object that cannot speak, but measures everything.
Before every match, someone charges this ball. After every match, someone carefully removes it and places it back in its cradle. Between those two moments,
90 minutes, or 120, or whatever the match demands, it sits in the middle of an argument that humanity has been having with itself since the first person kicked something round at something else and decided it mattered. The ball does not know what it carries, but we do. This has been The Ball That Thinks, a 3D cinematic documentary on the technology inside the 2026 World Cup ball. If this opens something for you, if football looks slightly different now that you know what is inside it, then consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, because the world's biggest tournament is just beginning, and there is so much more to understand.